Shoolini TV News from the campus.
Hello and welcome to the 86th edition of Shoolini TV Bulletin, where we bring you the latest news from the university campus. To begin with, the headlines. Revised academic calendar for the upcoming semester updated. Campus placements even better than the last year. Webinar on intellectual property awareness hosted. World Hindi Divas celebrated at Shoolini University. Students speak out on the decision to close educational institutions. Now the news in detail. The academic schedule for the forthcoming semester have been modified to prioritize the welfare and safety of the students during the pandemic. What can you tell us about it, Alisha?
With another increase in COVID-19 cases, restrictions have been reimposed in various parts of the country. Keeping students' welfare and safety as a top priority, Shoolini University has decided that the next semester classes will start offline from February 14, 2022.
Undergraduate and postgraduate students will be able to register for the next semester from January 22 to January 24. The academic calendar for PhD students will stay the same as before, with online registration from January 22 to 24 and on-campus registration from January 22 to 24. From January 25 to 27, late enrollment with delayed online payment will be available and classes will begin on January 27.
This announcement does not apply to MBA second year students, who will be notified of their timetable by the Dean of Management Sciences. Students will be informed about various interventions such as projects, assignments and other activities throughout the time between registration and the start of classes by their respective heads of departments.
Thank you, Alisha, for such a detailed report regarding the revised academic calendar. Moving on, Director Training and Placement, Mr. Aditee was interviewed by Harsh on the placement drive, and this is what he had to say.
In the month of October, and had a great first cohort with about 50 students being placed in the first run, followed by the second run. And the highlight of the first and second placement seasons has been some of the companies who've come here for the first time and hired talent from us. To mention a few, L&T, so they hired two of our electrical students in the first, and then we also had ICICI, who are our returning partners, who came here and hired about 27 students. We also had placed a lot of our biotechnology students, almost 50% of them, in companies like Cognizant, HCL, Orange Business Solutions, and we also had the presence of Nestle, who hired two of our biotechnology grads. So the season ahead is equally encouraging, and we're looking forward to a great response. Amidst the current corona situation, I am extremely hopeful that we should be able to close the placement process for the current year in the next 2 to 3 months. I am currently in talks with a lot of companies, which include Accenture, ZS Associates, and also companies like Flipkart, who we expect to get them on board very soon.
Indeed, this year the placements are going on very well. Several new companies like ICICI and L&T have come for placements this time. Also, big companies like Nestle have hired talent from our campus. Mr. Khanna said he was confident that the placements would be even better than the last year.
Thanks, Harsh. We now have Rishabh telling us about the university's intellectual property awareness webinar with the Controller General Patent, Designs and Trademarks. Go ahead, Rishabh.
Shoolini University Intellectual Property Cell hosted a webinar on intellectual property awareness in partnership with the former Controller General of Patents. Design and Trademarks, Government of India, Ministry of Commerce and Industry.
रुक हाँ
Shoolini University Intellectual Property Cell hosted a webinar on intellectual property awareness in partnership with the Controller General of Patents, Design and Trademarks, Government of India, Ministry of Commerce and Industry.
That must have been a wonderful experience, Rishabh. Now we move on to Dipesh for a report on Shoolini University's Chitrakoot School of Liberal Arts World Hindi Day celebration.
The 10th of January has been designated as World Hindi Day. Shoolini University's Chitrakoot School of Liberal Arts commemorated the day by hosting an online session honoring luminaries of Hindi poetry, including Subhadra Kumari Chauhan, Makhan Lal Chaturvedi and Balkrishan Naveen. Dr. Naresh Kumar Tomar, Dr. Virendra Singh and Dr. Satya Narayan Snehi were among the other panelists. Several Shoolini University faculty members took part in the event. The session was conceptualized by Dr. Purnima Bali and Dr. Prakash Chand.
Wasn't it wonderful to lose yourself in the realm of poetry? Moving ahead, Shoolini University held a virtual speech and poetry competition on the topic of Swami Vivekananda's idea and life on the occasion of his birth anniversary. Go ahead, Pragya.
On the occasion of Swami Vivekananda's birth anniversary, Shoolini University organized a virtual speech and poetry competition on the topic of ideas of Swami Vivekananda and his life. The event was open for all, where more than 45 students competed. The competition was inaugurated by Chancellor Professor P.K. Khosla, who shared experiences from Swami Vivekananda's life and how his ideas have influenced and impacted today's youth. The event was organized by the Dean of the Students' Welfare Office. Ms. Sachna Arora, Mr. Ankur Vashal, Mr. Prakash Chand and Mr. Hemant Sarma were among others present in the event.
Thanks, Pragya. We now move on to our speaking out session. Students are significantly divided to whether or not educational institutions should be closed during a COVID breakout. Student reporter Manan conducted a survey.
The closure of educational institutions due to the pandemic has led to a huge backlog of academic work. Now, every coin has two faces. Many may be blaming the government for their wrong decision, but the thing is, a student's life is far more valuable than any academic prospectus. You may live your life with your friends again when things get back to the way they were, but for that to happen, you and your loved ones should be healthy and breathing. Sometimes decision may seem harsh, but that is what is good for everyone.
Omicron is a variant of concern because it has dozens of mutations that can affect the way it behaves. In view of this spread, government decides to close education institutes till mid of February, which is not justified because from the last 2 years we've been suffering to the same condition, being locked in the rooms, and now this is not the new normal.
Closed educational institutions for now is justified as the leniency by them in the past few days actually resulted in the mass spread of the variant throughout the country. And the only way through which we can stop this is social distancing, which cannot be maintained while these institutions are open. So now the strictness is necessary so that we won't repeat the mistake again, lose the life of the people, those who are studying at these institutions, and suffer for a period that is much, much longer than a
The ultra-contagious Omicron mutant is pushing cases to all-time highs and causing chaos as an exhausted world struggles, again, to stem the spread. Keeping this in consideration, the government has decided to shut down all education institutions till middle of February, which is completely unjustified because this time we are not starting from scratch. Pandemics do eventually end, even if Omicron is complicating the question of when will this one. But it won't be like flipping a light switch. The world will have to learn to coexist with a virus that is not going away.
The students are clearly divided over the issue of whether the educational institutions should be closed or not. Those in the favor say that life is more important, while those opposing it said that we have to learn to live with the virus. I am Manan reporting from the campus.
Before we end this edition, here are the Radio Shoolini programs for the upcoming week presented by RJ Kanupriya.
Hey guys, hope you all are doing well and keeping safe. So the list of the upcoming radio shows are, first of all we have Hafta Vasool by RJ Anushka, Badai Ho Viral Hua Hai by RJ Ayushi, and last but not the least, My Shoolini by RJ Nindu. These all shows have been uploaded on My Shoolini app, so go tune into them. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram @Radio Shoolini. Thank you.
That's all for this week. We shall be back next Friday with a new edition of Shoolini TV. It was a pleasure bringing the news to you. Namaskar.